Great. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the session today. I've already seen so many of you introduce yourselves and say where you're based. Let's keep this going. I'd love for you to say where you're based, a yes or a no, or a Y or an N if you currently run a community. And then my favorite question to ask is what your favorite cheeky Friday takeaway is. If you're not British, maybe cheeky takeaway is not the right term, but on a Friday night, I love to order myself Chinese and I'm a massive foodie, so I'd love to know again, where are you based? Do you currently run a community? Yes or no? And what is your favorite takeaway on a Friday night when you're treating yourself? Get that flowing in the general chat or in the session chat, and I'll kick off the presentation in the meantime. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Victoria. No, you don't run a community, but you love sushi. Yes, I love sushi too. Yes, love this. Thanks so much, guys. No cheeky takeaway. Domino's. Yeah, love Domino's. Pizza's great. Pizza, yes, total win. Okay, sushi again. Oh, yeah, easy go-to. Okay, another Chinese. Thank goodness, I'm not alone in this. Keep it coming, guys. So I'm going to kick off. As we know, today's session is about unlocking the power of community-based marketing. If I'm looking shifty, it's because I've got two screens and I'm looking over here at the same time as looking at you. So let's kick. I'm going to do a couple of introductions. I know that Ilke already sort of said a couple of lovely things about me, but I figured I could fluff it up a little bit more. So I'm going to go into who I am. So bit background story real quick. I've basically only ever worked in community. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but I love it. I'm obsessed. Community is just, yeah, life right now. I feel like physical communities are kind of where my mind initially was when I thought about community when I first got into the industry. I absolutely adored it. I got to, support startup founders to set up their own communities and achieve their goals, which is really exciting. That sort of transitioned into online community management, where I've worked at some great companies like Cultureship and Depop. As of late, I'm head of community and brand at Disciple. I've been here for since the beginning of last year now. So yeah, it's been a really amazing time so far. We're a UK-based SaaS platform, and essentially I just have the incredible power of, and I love this phrase, empowering change makers and passion seizers to harness the power of community. But yeah, essentially we provide the software, they provide the people. We enable them to have their own platform, charge subscriptions, all that great stuff. And then on the other side of things, I also do some freelance work. And again, how do I have the time for this? I don't actually know, but I get to help people build their strategies out and their content, which I absolutely adore. So why did I choose this topic? Bold statement. I believe the future of marketing is community. It is what it is. I said it. Marketing itself, I think, can be a really tricky thing to crack. But I do believe that when we sort of throw community into the mix, it can be a whole load more exciting. I genuinely believe that independent communities are the future of how individuals want to engage with each other and spend their time online. Again, I said it. And just gone are the days of sort of dead, endless time-wasting consumption. I really believe that we're currently in a movement of consuming quality content. And I think that that's really directly linked straight to building genuine connections with people all across the world, hence kind of what we're doing today. I really think that physical distance doesn't mean anything anymore other than the fact that I can't physically touch you. I feel like I can still be engaging and learning so much. I also just believe that a lot of common marketing techniques that we currently see and overused. And I really believe that we should all explore how to be a lot more unique, even if it does take a little bit of extra work and time. And then just customer expectations are just rapidly changing when it comes to interacting with brands. And just the fact that community marketing is super effective, more effective than just traditional norms, I suppose. And I just believe that customers are actually losing the trust in many standard marketing practices like paid advertising or those pesky influencer promotions that some brands really rely on. So let's dig into things. Before I hit on the next slide, I'd love you in the chat to give me one or two words that describe traditional marketing to you. What kind of comes to mind first? Yeah, it can be really simple, really quick. First thing, traditional marketing, what are you thinking of? I can kick things off and say that print media, so that's a really big one, of course. Slow, yeah, good one, Thomas. Definitely. Yeah, absolutely agreed. Yeah, so things like print media, so things like magazines, newspapers, that's yeah, physical things. Then we've got like broadcasting, we have billboards, and just basically anything that's offline. Newspaper ads, most posters, yeah, exactly. Definitely merchandise, yeah, that's a good one actually. Tone deaf at times, Francesca says. Yeah, I get that. But yeah, so with this, the reach only tends to kind of go so far, and the target is mainly a local audience. You know, think about the fact that if you've got a billboard, right? If I drive past that billboard, I'm like, cool, that's interesting. Maybe I've seen it, and maybe that what percentage of the people that are seeing it right now are going to tell somebody else? That's kind of the end of that reach, right? And then, of course, we've got digital marketing. Rick, often not authentic. Yeah, I preach. I believe that. So yeah, we got digital marketing. And now a few of you kind of mentioned a couple of bits and pieces in here that are digital marketing. Again, give me one word comes to mind when you think about digital marketing, the operative word being digital. Focused on selling, yeah, that's a big one. Being sold to, talked at, yeah. Facebook ads, oh my gosh, yes, preach. Social media, yeah, those are really big ones, absolutely. So first I put on here there's a lot of TikTok happening right now. Attention economy, I love that you said that word. Is that Maya? Have I said that correctly? Absolutely. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of TikTok where it's sort of like directly online in terms of digital marketing with the aim of reaching many. So this has really become like immensely popular recently due to that sort of cultural ease and technological advancements. And so we're looking at a lot of things like sponsored tweets, influencer hashtag ads. We've all seen those Instagram ads where some influencer is trying to pretend like it's the best beauty product of their life. And you're just like, I know you're lying to me. But yeah, and so I really think that up until the sort of outbreak of the pandemic in maybe early 2020, digital marketing has really been seen as sort of like a blanket essential for most businesses, backing it up with the motion of needing to conduct customer research or using it as a tool to drive online sales is kind of what you guys have mentioned. And while I believe that some of these marketing techniques, you know, are great and maybe have their place, I also believe that there is a new sheriff in town, and that is community-based marketing. And so let's kick this off with first defining community. I feel like this shouldn't be too hard for us. So I kind of say community is a group of individuals drawn together over a mutual passion or shared interest. How is that? Does anyone want to add anything else in that I've missed off here in my general description of a community? If we were to extend that and think about community-based marketing and adding in the marketing aspect, bear with me as this is a bit of a long phrase or sentence, but essentially community-based marketing brings individuals together over a shared practice or area of expertise to create closer and more valuable relationships with prospects, customers, and generally within a forum, network, or app. This is a mouthful, so let's break it up a little bit. So the first part is kind of standard community. So we've got things like bringing individuals together over shared practice, area of expertise, bringing people closer. Cool, we got you. We are on the next level here. So we've got prospects and customers. So now we can think about, cool, probably thinking about a brand here. There's probably sales part of this. People are probably monetizing. And then we have a look at the general forum network or app. So we're looking at a physical, oh, sorry, not physical, we're looking at an online situation here. So why is this kind of taking off now? There's a couple of reasons. One is basically the exact opposite of what somebody in this group, I think it was Maya, said, was it the economy, attention economy? The opposite right now. We're looking at the passion economy, and I absolutely adore this. And this is where creators are able to tap into an ongoing revenue stream based on building an active and engaged audience. So many SaaS platforms are popping up to enable these creators to run their own businesses. I mean, that's literally exactly what I do at Disciple. But yeah, this is just a time where platforms are encouraging creators to build loyalty between themselves and their customers to passively earn income, but in a non-aggressive way, which I really appreciate. You know, we're in a time when so many people have like incredible skills and incredible things to offer. They just don't know how or where to do so. And I believe that the passion economy is the time for this to kind of come alive. Then we've got COVID. I mean, I know it's like an obvious one, but I believe that COVID has really forced us to be separated from individuals physically, which has really bumped up that need for the connection and belonging. It's really encouraged us to consider how we spend our time online and to think about who we trust and whether they're being authentic or not. Again, that's when you kind of see those sort of influencer marketing, and we may believe that, is this person really being authentic? Yes or no, right? I think we're also just totally exhausted from digital marketing. It's starting to really kick in. We're a bit tired here. You know, consumers are really getting used to sort of seeing the same marketing techniques time and time again. I think now more than ever, again, that influencer marketing is really kind of upticking, and we're getting that experience where things are just, again, extremely inauthentic. And then the last thing is just social media noise, you know? Yeah, Michael, in these trying times, tell me about it. But yeah, and social media noise, it's basically, yeah, exactly what it says. You know, there's a lot happening across all the channels, from ads to lives, and basically just everything in between. And it's becoming ever challenging to just cut through it all. And so how does this kind of differ to a regular community? Firstly, we often see brands making use of community-based marketing as their intentions come across as a lot more sincere and genuine now. These communities also tend to be filled buyer persona, as is often something that you're trying to sell. And then there's also just a clear internal strategy and journey for the community member to move from curious member to actual paying member. And what are the kind of benefits that we're looking at when it comes to this? So some of the things we're looking at here could be just one obvious one, but a lot more loyalty from our customers, growing into brand ambassadors and super members, which I absolutely adore. There's a clearer relevance and more accurate data when it comes to customer research. We're looking at a lot more organic growth as a result of good customer experience. And then just empowered and happy customers as they feel part of your brand and your business. They're not just this one person at the end of a marketing tool somewhere or sales technique that's just, you know, paid for something because of an ad. They actually feel like they know you, they know your brand, they're part of what's happening. And then it's just cost effective. We all know that it's a lot cheaper to work towards customer retention rather than customer acquisition. How do we give strength? How do we give strength to kind of what we're doing here? And there's two areas of things that I kind of like to look at. Firstly, it's brand. So I put here that identity and purpose is super key when it comes to building a strong brand. You want to be easily recognizable and unique enough to stand apart from your competitors. I mean, make it sound really easy. Not super easy, but super worth it. And there's a couple of things and techniques that we can use here to make sure that our brand is doing the right thing for us as a business or as a community. So the first thing here is a clock model. I don't know if you guys have heard of this before or not, but this has really helped me out. This essentially is a metaphor for all the touch points that a consumer has within your brand. So we want to think about what opportunities there are for brand building at each stage of the clock model. So for example, in pre-purchase, what sort of things are people coming into contact with here? This could be your website. This could be some social media ads that you're currently running, for example. It could be a multitude of things. Maybe you're still doing some traditional marketing. So for example, things like flyers. And then you look at the purchase stage. What are they looking at here? You know, are they coming into contact with your website? Are they coming into contact with you yet? Are they coming into contact with your community or not? You know, is your community supposed to be helping you as a sales tool? If so, perhaps that should be in the pre-purchase stage. You know, if it's happening at purchase or post-purchase, you know, is that giving your customer or your member the right interaction that you want them to have with your brand? You really want them to start thinking about these sort of experiences and these touch points that they're having with each stage of your company and what you're doing. Then we have a look at the 3 hurdles. And I really love this one as well. It's really great for you to start thinking about, okay, is what I'm doing, doesn't make sense? Is this the right thing? And the first thing is differentiation. So does your brand stand out versus something similar? You know, there's a lot of communities happening at the moment in the world. You know, it's a fairly saturated place to be in right now, but also really exciting. So you just want to make sure that whatever you're offering, it has its unique space and it is standing out. And then 2, is it relevant? Does your brand matter to your customer? You know, to you, you may be thinking, oh, I'm offering something great. But on the other side of things, you know, are they thinking, yeah, I love this? Or is it kind of just like, it's a nice to have, but it's not a need to have? Sorry. And then finally, is it sustainable? Is your brand and uniqueness easy to maintain. If what you're doing right now is really great and you're thinking, yeah, I'm pumping it, I'm loving it, the energy is great, people are loving what they're receiving. If you were to scale up and your community grows to say 50,000 members and your team never internally grows, can you at scale keep doing and delivering what you set out to do when you started off? So there's that to consider. And then the last thing is the person identity. Who is your brand as a person? I love this activity. It's a really easy one to get you thinking about, okay, realistically speaking, what kind of traits does this person have? What makes them resonate with you as well? So I think about my brand where I work now. I work at Disciple. As I mentioned, we empower creatives, creators, change makers, all these fun people to really harness kind of what they're doing and to start their own communities. But who do they resonate with? And if I thought about us as a brand, as a person, I would maybe think about us as somebody like Whitney Wolf, right? She's a CEO of Bumble. She's incredible. She's like a powerhouse. She's empowering. She's knowledgeable. She really set out to completely change the game here. And she doesn't really step back and she doesn't step down. She's, making their own space for her in the world. And I love that about her. And I would hope that, our brands can really try to resonate and be that kind of person as well. Linda, yeah, creating brand personas. Exactly. Eddie, importance of brand personas. Yes, once again, Laura, this is one of my favorite activities too. Yeah, agreed. It's such a simple and easy thing to do, but so key in understanding who our brand is and also as a person then. And then the second area, tapping in and giving strength to our community-based marketing, is our audience. Yeah, easy sort of statement here. Without our people, our brands really can't exist. So what can we start to think about here? One, why our audience would even resonate with us in the first place. And there's a couple of things that we can tap into here. The first one is just we want to make people feel something. We don't want them to just browse over our community, browse over our website and just be like, cool, whatever. We want them to be like compelled to be changed. And we want them to think about why or feel like they can rely on us. That's really important as well. We got their back. We're something good for them. They feel like they know us. And then the next one is similarly, we want to feel like they can trust us, whether it's a product or a service that we're offering, whether they're just in the community space and they get to know us as people. We want to feel like they can trust what we're providing, that we're genuine, we're sincere, we're authentic. And then lastly, to make them feel like there's no better product or service out there. We're delivering that top quality service way, and that's really essential in building that level of the trust as well. And then how do we gain this loyalty? So firstly, it's just by being community first and customer centric. It seems like a really obvious one, but some people forget about it. It's really easy to get distracted by you as a brand and kind of what you want. And then we often forget about the fact that we're not thinking about our customer and actually what they want out of the experience. We want to be real, honest, and authentic. I love this one. In my community, I have people from all walks of the world who are, completely different, and they all communicate in different ways. And I have someone who's, really real themselves. They'll be swearing here, right and center. And I just love all the things that they're saying. And I'm like, you're not apologetic. You are who you are. And I think as a brand, we should be like that too. We should be personable. And that's really key. And then here, just delivering consistently at the same high level. Again, really obvious one, really important. Acknowledging them as important to us as a brand. Again, we can't get to where we want to be without them. And that's really important. And then this one, by providing a super clear value proposition. And this one's one I often talk to my clients about. To them, they're like, yeah, my brand makes complete sense. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm offering. But does it actually make sense and resonate with the person that you're trying to target? If they stumbled across store and they read the description, would they be compelled to join because they can understand what's going on? And I really ask people to question themselves and think, does this make complete sense? And then, of course, just taking on board customer feedback and suggestions. So always providing a space to say, hey, I'm listening. I'm here. Do you have any suggestions? Tell me about it. And that's kind of how I think we can gain loyalty. Let me know if you think I've left any others off that you think are really important. Drop them in the chat. I'm always interested to learn if there are special techniques that I've actually not thought about myself. So next today, and as Ilka mentioned, this So we'll be doing a little bit of a breakout activity. It's a really quick, short thing, a little bit of fun. You can brainstorm and learn from one another and help yourselves really ensure that you've leveled up your brand and your offering. So the first part of this is a little bit of an introspective activity. So this is answering some questions for yourself. So who are you and what are you giving to your audience? Is it a product? Is it a service? What exactly is this? What are your brand touch points? This is the clock model. What is your differentiator? So that's the 3 hurdles. How could you be running community-based marketing? How could running community-based marketing strengthen your brand? And then what techniques, or just one technique even, could you use in your marketing in the future to elevate what you're doing? Perhaps it's now time to think about, these Facebook ads are not really my thing. They're not really working. How can I be more authentic and really try to build that trust with my audience? And then part 2 is sharing back to the group. So who you are and what you're offering, the differentiators, and then those techniques that you're going to try. I'll be jumping in between the breakout rooms to kind of help you brainstorm and network and dig into these things a little deeper. And I have a Google Doc that I can also drop in the chat to help remind you while you're in your breakout rooms exactly kind of what you need to be focusing on. Ilke, I'm going to ask you to drop everybody into a room, please.
Fantastic. I thought I was energetic, compared to you. No, not really, not much. This was the energy in the room from yourself, from the session, and the interaction from the attendees has been amazing. So I'd like to thank everyone. So as Nicolette said, we are going to be splitting people into breakout rooms, by the power vested in me by Bevy. I shall be distributing people to a few rooms. So just double checking with you, Nicolette. So we have about 40 attendees, including us, I think, in the room. So how many people would you like in each room?
6 people in a room. Yeah, I think that sounds good to me.
Yeah, so 6 people in the room. So we're gonna have 7 rooms, and the time limit is going to be 20 minutes. So if everything's okay with you, if there's anything you would like to change, so in a few seconds you shall be joining some random attendees in the room. So please make sure that you interact, follow Nicolette's instructions, and then make the most of this fantastic session. So just splitting people now in 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everyone. For anyone who wasn't in a room, I'm happy to discuss and chat things over with you now for the last couple of minutes. Even if you want to just do it in the chat, or if you have any questions that you want to stick into the Q&A. I jumped into the other rooms quickly and chatted to a few people, and I'm happy to do the same here. Rishi, I know that you were quite interested. I think you had some questions perhaps, or you want to chat things through. I'm really happy to kind of do that now. Or as Ilke mentioned, stick your questions in the Q&A, and I'll make sure that there's time at the end to kind of get them. And if not, I'll stick around and give you my LinkedIn, and yeah, we can continue to connect.
Fantastic. So apologies to the attendees to one room. It looks like there's been some technical difficulties. The other rooms went just fine. So the system, unfortunately, does not allow to create an additional room because it assigns the attendees randomly so that the interaction can be maximized. So I really, really apologize, but this is a good time. We have a couple more minutes before everybody comes back in the room. If you have any questions, you can directly provide them to Nicolette. So I'm going to be, putting up, giving a lot of support to Rishi, because obviously he was very, looking forward to this. So he's asking things like, who are you? What are you?
My questions.
Your questions. Yeah. So those are the questions that need to be defined. So Rishi, if you have any questions or anything that you would like to ask Nicolette directly in the next couple of minutes, you've got direct access to her right now. So please do so. So that's probably a little bit of things that we can give back for not being able to attend to a room. So thanks for your understanding. It looks like the other rooms have just gone just fine. And Nicolette's been in a few of them. So if you have any other feedback, please feel free to send them over on the chat. And of course, continue to provide your questions on the Q&A.
Absolutely. Thanks for that.
Fantastic. It looks like we have just about a minute left. before the breakout rooms will be closed. So hopefully people have done this really, really well. So do you have any tips for anybody who would like to do this offline? Just going back on the situation where people haven't been able to do this, so maybe they can actually do it with colleagues. The questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's so important. I would really encourage you to work with your have anyone that is in that community space, and if it's not yourself, and then any of the sort of departments such as like brand, community, marketing, design, all the elements that are kind of customer facing, and think about how you can really answer these questions together. It can be things that are really easy to overlook that you're not actually realizing, or things that perhaps you mixed around a little bit. As I mentioned earlier, if things like your community is really important and you feel like you're a customer and community focused company, if that's only happening in your post-purchase stage, perhaps there's a miscommunication there with your audience, and you should be thinking about how you can kind of work this into your new strategy. And the same with the rest. When you think about how this can kind of strengthen your brand, really start to think about, again, if I'm going to scale, if I don't have the scope for it, what can I do now to really ensure that I can get to where I want to be? Road mapping also really helps. Rishi, what did you mention? Discussion
so
on
it
those
looks
questions.
like people are coming back, so one by one. So in the meantime, Rishi's provided the question. Discussion of those questions was valuable. Okay, brand persona. I wanted to discuss to refine my own concept. So while we're waiting for people to come back, that could be a question that could be posed to you.
I wanted to discuss to refine my own concept. It'd be great to get a little bit of a deeper explanation on this question, Rishi, if possible, please.
Yeah, fantastic. So it looks like the rooms have basically ended. So people are going to come back in the next few moments and seconds. And thanks very much. And I hope it's been really, really cool for everyone. So it is now time to to get to the part of the presentation, the part of the session where we're going to be talking about the after the exercise. So Nicolette, it's up to you.
Great, thank you so much. I also just wanted to drop my LinkedIn in here for anyone who wasn't able to get into. Please feel free to message me on the side. I'm more than happy to continue chatting and take this a little bit further or do your exercises with you. But in the meantime, let's crack on to the next stage of our workshop as we're in the last sort of 15 minutes. So obviously we're at the regroup, what we learned today and how it's kind of changing the game. So firstly, there's a couple of techniques that I thought I could mention to you guys to help out for anyone who's not really managed to think of some themselves, some really obvious ones. But first, customer testimonials. This is a really easy one for me. It's asking your customers and your members to share about their experiences and what they love about working with you as a brand and as a community as well. A lot of people are voluntarily happy to say good things when they have a great experience, and they maybe not even need to be asked. It's just a little bit of a push. But yeah, think about how you can tap into your customers and what makes them really excited about who you are and what you're offering. Secondly, loyalty programs. These are things like super member programs, reward schemes, anywhere you feel like you can essentially be saying thank you to your members and your customers for the hard work and the energy and the dedication and loyalty that they have to your brand. You really want to make them feel like, you know what, I'm being recognized for coming back time and time again. Hosting events, this is again really obvious and key, but inviting industry leaders to join into events can really make a difference as well in terms of helping you with that marketing and making you have that edge as well. So it's not just, you and it's just a bit like me talking all the time, but it's also a case that you're bringing people in who are really keen to share about what you're kind of offering as well. Think about your social impact. So how can you contribute towards your favorite causes? And this one's a really lovely idea. A really simple, wholesome way to feel like you're making a difference and giving back as well. And then just gifting. Yeah, spreading the love with gifts that mean something to our customers. Handwritten notes are like my favorite thing to do. I love sending little gifts via post, whatever it might be, to my customers and my community members, and just saying, hey, you know what, like, you killed it in this, well done, here's a handwritten note, I can't wait to watch you succeed as well. And I think that's a really lovely thing to do. And then just finally, why this is even just the way forward. One, community is king and queen. I don't care what anybody says. There is no other way to succeed in business right now unless you're thinking about your customers and you're putting them at the forefront of what you do. Two, we're real people. We expect authenticity in return. It's really that simple. There's a reason why I don't go into my community and do hashtag ads for a reason. Next, community-based marketing is a super cost-effective way to scale your brand and offering while stepping ahead of the game in your industry as well. You don't have to worry about paid ads or hiring influencers, whatever it might be, or printing out, posters and things like that. Community is just a cost-effective way to do it, where you're still also gaining so much from the experience of doing it as well. And then just remember to go back to what makes your brand, you and your brand, unique, and grow from there. It's breaking down, getting to the basics. So making use of like the clock model, for example, and the 3 hurdles to really remember what you're doing and why you're offering what you are. And yeah, that's essentially it. That's me as a memoji. But yeah, that's all from me. And thank you so much for coming today, guys. I'm really sorry if there was any struggles with the breakout rooms, but I hope you still learn a load. And as I said, I'm happy to connect with you afterwards and keep chatting. And yeah, if you have any questions, now's the time. I'm happy to kind of get back to them. I see Charlotte's already kind of put a couple in the Q&A. So yeah, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we can go from there.
Yep, and thanks very much, Nicolette. So apologies for the technical issues. So it's a limitation of the platform where the random rooms are created. You really can't change things until you restart it. So, but Nicolette's been very kind in providing her contact details over LinkedIn. So please feel free to reach out to her as she instructed. So what we do have here is a few questions. The questions are still open, so we have a few more minutes basically to answer your questions. So Charlotte has actually placed 2 questions. So the first one is: would you also agree that the future of community is marketing as well? So Nicolette, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was like on one of my first slides or something. I definitely agree that oh wait, this is the other way around. The future community is marketing. Oh my goodness. Yeah. That's an interesting one. I mean, I think it's more the other way around. The future of marketing is community. I don't believe the future of community is marketing necessarily. I think that community is more based on, I don't know, connectivity and relationship building and thinking how you can kind of empower the people around you. I think that's what I love about community management in itself, is that I get to build genuine connections and genuine relationships with people and think about how what I'm doing is actually going to change their lives. And if it isn't, what can I do to change that? And so I feel like that's kind of what works for me and what I kind of like to use in my marketing principles as well. Word of mouth is working really well for us. We have customers in our community who are jumping in and talking to prospects and saying things like, prospects say like, oh, I'm considering choosing Disciple. Why should I bother? Is it the right product for me? I don't know. And our customers are jumping in there and going, absolutely yes. And these are the reasons why. And I love the close relationship and they always listen to me and blah, 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 blah. And those are the kind of things that I love to hear. And that, that is the marketing for me. Like, it's working on my behalf. And I know I have to put the hard work in terms of building the relationships and creating good content and resources, but I would much rather do that, knowing that that's something that I'm giving to my members rather than sticking to like digital or traditional marketing norms.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Really, really cool. So Charlotte's placed another question. It's asking, would you see ideation and co-creation as part of CBM, community-based marketing? So
yeah, absolutely, definitely. I mean, I think that's what kind of community is all about, right? It is that co-creation and ideation where you're able to share and create ideas with people around you. I don't think community works if you're just talking at people or coming up with ideas by yourself. And so I think, when you think about, ideation and coming into getting those ideas and the exciting things that are kind of going on in your community, absolutely. I mean, I love working with other people. I love working with my members. I think they come up with the best ideas for kind of what's going on. And I think that's also what feeds into building a really strong brand.
Fantastic. That's really, really great. So one question from Michael Pirovano. How do you handle instances of having an ask of your community? How do you encourage engagement without putting a strain on the relationship? It's very, very important, I find it. Any go-to tips for encouraging evangelism? Really, really fundamental questions on community. Really cool stuff. So
Yeah,
what's your take?
yeah, totally. This is an interesting one. So, yeah, we all know starting a community can be hard work, but the benefits definitely pay off. And then, yeah, hard asks are a challenge. Like, I never kind of put it out there and be like, hey, give me this or I need that, because it can come across as insincere and non-authentic. But it's about, I think, when you build those relationships and know people on a one-to-one level, they start to actually be really comfortable in offering these things, or you throw it out there as a really casual question and it's no big deal at this point, you know. And I start to do things like in the community, instead of just creating a post where I'm sharing content, I'll start to tag new people in the community as well. Like, hey, what do you think about this? Like, I'm actively seeking their opinion. I actively want to know. And it's not just, hey, let me know as a blanket approach. It's like a, hey, I'd love to know your thoughts on this X, Y, and Z area, or I'd love to know what you think about this. Would this change things for you? How is this working in your own community? These sorts of things. And I think that's really key in terms of building that relationship. And when I don't hear from people, you know, I DM them and I'm like, I miss you. I haven't seen you in a little while. What's going on? Tell me what's happening in your life. And again, I take time to learn what's going on with them too. And I tell them, share with me your social links, share with me what's kind of going on in your life so I can check in on you too, as much as I'm expecting you to check in on me. You can't sort of expect what you kind of don't give in return. And again, it's a little bit of work and effort, but it really pays off in the long run. You know, like we run a podcast now in the collective, my community called The Collective, and we ask general questions like, you know, I don't know, how's your community going? And why did you choose our platform? And we have people voluntarily jumping in and say, I wasn't paid to say this. I genuinely just love being here. I love what I've learned. And people genuinely care about who I am and what I have to offer. And I think that that's really just the way to go about building those relationships and trying to get, encouraging that evangelism as well. And then I think as well, if you're trying to look at things at scale, it's thinking, as I mentioned before as well, like super member programs, loyalty schemes, top contributors, that kind of stuff. We can say to people, I love the activity that you've been having. Here's the top 10 each month. Get yourself in that for 3 months in a running, and you'll become our next super member. And, as a reward for that, I'll give you, early updates on company things. I'll let you design your own t-shirt for merch. These little bits and pieces as well. So I think it's just, really important to feel like you can actively uplift people and for them to feel like they're getting something back in return.
Fantastic. That's exactly. I just, I put my name on all that. So really, really, cool, ways of basically just enhancing that. So Rishi's put some really, really cool words: reciprocity, give big, ask small, give bigger, ask slightly bigger. Of course, we all subscribe to that. Fantastic. And we do have one question from Rosie, from the Rosie Setup. How do you define the community's business value? A big question, but what's your take on this?
Yeah, really big question. And I think it's dependent, again, on your business, on your brand, and what your outtake is of this as well. The reason why you're setting up this community in the first place, is it to get higher customer retention? Is it to be able to sell something? Are you monetizing? What is actually the output of the reason why you're actually starting this community in the first place? And think about how that kind of feeds into your business objectives. So obviously, we have simple things like the return on investment model, where we can have a look at really obvious techniques and like calculations, especially if we are monetizing and trying to sell something. So it's a really obvious, like, time plus money equals X, that's what we're kind of gaining from this. In terms of other areas that we can look into as well, is trying to prove what relationship building can do to your business. So one thing that I like to look into at the moment, for example, is traditional ways that businesses have operated is by having, say, a support team or a support network where people can email in help at blah, blah, blah. Right? So things that I like to look at is, if customers are joining my community, how often or how less often are they likely to message support at or help at? How more likely are they to actually be going, hey community, hey guys, and asking the community as a general shout out? And I think as well, that's already a really clear value prop to say, look, members are messaging the team less, we're able to scale up our operations, customers and members are helping respond to each other in terms of what they're doing. which again is a money save for us as a business, which is a really clear and obvious win for me. And then just also proving what that does for your business as well in terms of retention. You know, people feel like they're able to have close contact with you as a team, and build those genuine relationships. They don't want to leave that. And I think that's a really important thing as well. And it can be hard to measure, but you can look at certain metrics. So for example, things like the contributor to lurker rate, the 99-1 rule as well, which is really interesting, the active return rate. So which percentage of your active members are returning time and time again to prove that, you know, they actively like what's happening in the community and they're coming back for a reason. And then small things in the community as well. So things like, you know, percentage of actives that are posting, liking, commenting. Those are all really worth it statistics that can help you improve that. You know what? People are coming back. Before there was nothing, you know, before they were just emailing us or before they were doing nothing or moaning to us on public forums, which is really not what we want to happen. Now they're actively engaging, and it's not just moaning, but they're respecting the system as well. And they're able to communicate and chat in a really helpful manner. So yeah, it is, like I said, a really big question. It is hard to define, you know, the value that community has to your business, but it's important to understand what you're trying to gain out of this community, and again, what you're able to give back to it as well.
Fantastic. Yeah, again, that's, you know, in this time period, I think it's the most amazing answer we can give to this broad, massive question. But it's a very important question. So Rosie, thank you for that, and definitely really, really cool. So it is now we're now at the end of this session. Nicolette, thank you very, very much from the bottom of our hearts. It's been a fantastic session, massive energy, really, really cool interaction, and obviously thank you to everyone who's attended, who's sent messages. Again, apologies for any problems that may have arisen in the interim. So Nicolette, thanks very much. Right now, obviously, we can now go back to the virtual, hall, so to speak. Be sure to check out the photo booth, take a selfie, and then share it with hashtag CMXSparkEMEA. Why not? So we thank you very much, Nicolette, and everyone who's attended, and we'd love to see you in the forthcoming sessions. And all the very best, and thanks again.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone, and thanks, Ilka. See you guys.